Welcome back to the Digital Shield. Today we're diving deep into the internet's invisible logistics. We're talking about the incredible, almost chaotic system that makes everything you do online feel so simple, so seamless.
You know that feeling, right? You click a link, and a picture loads instantly. You send a message, and bam, it's on your friend's phone halfway across the world. But that's not magic. Not at all. It's actually a massive, ridiculously fast logistical operation. So, to really get how hackers break things, we first have to understand how they work in the first place. Today, we're going to get our hands dirty and look at the actual plumbing of the web. And to make it all click, we're going to use the analogy of a global postal system.
Okay, let's start with a completely wild thought experiment. I want you to imagine you have to mail a car to your friend, and I don't mean ship it on a truck. No, you have to use the regular old postal service. How would you even begin to do that?
You can't just shove a car into a mailbox, right? It's absurd. You'd have to completely dismantle it. I'm talking every single bolt, every panel, the engine, the seats. You'd put each tiny piece into its own little box. Then you'd have to label every single one of those boxes with a sequence number and the final address and mail all 5,000 of them. That is a crazy amount of work. But here's the kicker. Believe it or not, that's exactly how the internet sends everything.
These digital boxes? They're called packets. And it doesn't matter if it's a 4K movie or a simple one-word email, the internet chops it all up into thousands, sometimes millions, of these tiny packets before it sends it anywhere.
And just like a real envelope from the post office, each of these packets has two really important parts. You've got the header on the outside, that's got your to and from addresses, and crucially, that sequence number. Then inside you have the payload. That's the good stuff, the actual little piece of the file you're sending.
Now, this system is incredibly efficient for sure, but it also creates a pretty obvious vulnerability. I mean, if everything is just a bunch of digital mail flying all over the place, what's to stop someone from, reading your mail while it's in transit?
Well, attackers can use special tools to basically grab these packets right out of the air as they travel across a network. And if the payload, the actual letter inside, isn't encrypted, it's like they've ripped open your mail and can read exactly what you wrote. This is called packet sniffing, and it is precisely why you always look for that little padlock and HTTPS in your browser. It's the seal on your digital envelope.
Okay, so for any of those packets to get where they're going, they need an address. In our digital world, we call that an IP address. And to really wrap our heads around this, let's switch to a new analogy, an apartment building.
So for the longest time, the internet used a format called IPv4. You've probably seen addresses that look something like this. The problem? The internet grew so fast, so explosively, that we literally ran out of them. So now, the standard is IPv6. The number of possible IPv6 addresses is just astronomical. They say there are enough for every single grain of sand on Earth, which basically future-proofs the internet so everything from your phone to your smart fridge can have its own address.
Okay, wait, let's break this down because this next part is a little tricky, but it's so important. The difference between a public and a private IP address is absolutely crucial for understanding how your own home network is set up.
So, think of your internet router, that little box with the blinking lights, as an entire apartment building. It has one main address that the whole world can see, like 123 Main Street. That is its public IP.
Now, inside that building, you've got all your devices, your phone, your laptop, your smart TV. Each of those is its own separate apartment. Apartment 101, apartment 102, and so on. They each have their own private IP address, which is only visible from inside the building, inside your home network.
So here's the key takeaway. Your router acts as the mailroom clerk for the whole building. It receives all the packets addressed to its public IP, looks at them and goes, okay, this Netflix stream is for the TV in the living room. That's apartment 101. It sorts all the incoming mail and makes sure it gets to the right device.
All right, so we've got our digital mail and we've got our digital addresses. But there's one more big problem. See, computers, they love numbers. But we humans, we remember names.
Just think about it. You're never going to memorize that long string of numbers for Amazon, are you? No way. You just remember Amazon.com. So how in the world does your browser translate the simple name you type into the complex number it actually needs to find the website?
That magic translation is handled by something called the Domain Name System, or DNS. And you can think of DNS as, literally, the phone book of the internet. It's that simple.
The moment you type in a URL, it kicks off this lightning-fast chain of requests. Your computer basically shouts, Hey, what's the number for Amazon? Your internet provider checks with a root server, who points to the right .com manager, who finally asks Amazon's own server to give up its specific IP address. It's like a global game of telephone that happens in a fraction of a second. It's incredible.
Now, this whole system is built on one simple idea: trust. We trust that the phone book is accurate. But what happens if a scammer manages to get in there and change an entry in that phone book?
This is where things get scary. A hacker can do something called DNS spoofing. They basically corrupt the DNS phone book entry for a real website. So when you try to look up your bank, the phone book lies and gives you the scammer's address instead. You're then sent to a fake website that looks absolutely identical to the real one, and you type in your password without ever realizing you've been tricked.
So let's trace the full journey of one single click. Let's see how this whole incredible system, packets, IPs, DNS, all connects, from your laptop all the way to a server and back again.
Okay, so you click on a cat picture. First, a DNS lookup finds the server's IP address. Your computer then breaks your request into packets and stamps them with your public IP. Now, those packets don't just fly straight there. No, they hop from router to router, maybe diving under the Atlantic Ocean to London. When they finally arrive, the server sends thousands of packets with the image data hopping all the way back to you. Your computer catches them all, maybe even out of order, and reassembles them perfectly. All of that in less than a second. When you really step back and look at the whole shebang, this entire system, the packets, the addresses, the phone book, it's all built on a very simple, almost fragile foundation: trust. The whole thing just assumes the address on the envelope is real, it assumes the phone book is accurate.
Hackers are experts at exploiting this trust. See you in the next episode.